Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. And happy Thanksgiving. Yes. And all the other holidays, I guess. Huh? Happy Black Friday. Happy shopping. I had Thanksgiving with my family. Did anyone have Thanksgiving with your family? I hope so. Some of you don't have an opportunity to do that, so I hope you could be with some family. And it was a lot of fun. And after that, I spent this past 2 days at a bachelor party. Wow, you're a pastor at a bachelor party. Uh-oh. Better explain that one, Uncle Sam. I have a friend who's getting married, finally, after 9 years. And you can give him a round of applause. And so all the groomsmen, we got together, and he's getting married in January, but all of us live, in different places. We're high school buddies, so we haven't seen each other in a long time. Some of them I haven't seen in 9 years. So it's an interesting. Have any of you ever been to a reunion? It's interesting. Everyone goes in different directions, but once you get together, a lot of like post GPA or STF gap year program folks. It's interesting. It's like you go live your life, you come back together after 10 years, and you just make the same jokes that you were making when you were with them 10 years ago. So in all of your maturity and your development as a person, now you have family, now you have kids, you go back to your old friends, and then you're back to making the same old 15-year-old jokes, and enjoying it. So it was really a joy. So I'm grateful to the opportunity to have friends and to have people that I feel close to, and family, and seeing that they're all okay. Most of them are doing okay, and that's a happy blessing for me. And so today what I want to share about, it's interesting, we just celebrated Thanksgiving, so we spent a lot of time with our families. And what I want to share about today is, you could title this message, To Build a Home. To Build a Home. And there's a song. Do any of you know Cinematic Orchestra? Oh, okay, like one person. Hey, thank you. Somebody knows. Does anyone know their most famous song, To Build a Home? Oh, it's gorgeous. So you're going to have 2 homework assignments today. One of them is to go listen to this song. It's beautiful. I'm a big music person, and I listen to music of all genres, every type of genre. Takayo knows. I'll listen to it. These days, since I'm married to my wife, I listen to a lot of J-pop. That's new, but this is my, as we say in our vernacular, my OG kind of music, right? This is where this is one of those songs that I've carried with me for a long time. It's called To Build a Home. And it's a beautiful, it's very cinematic type, orchestraic, and I love it because these are the lyrics, and this is what the song says. This is a place where I don't feel alone. This is a place where I feel at home, 'cause I built a home for you and for me. And it's a really simple song, but I resonate with it. And then he goes on, in this song particularly, he goes on to describe how that slowly fades. And I didn't want to add that because I don't want to talk about how it's going to slowly fade. But I find it's such a deep feeling that people have to want to live in a home, to be in a home where there's love. And you build the home. You don't build it necessarily by the sticks and the stones and the bricks and the foundations, but you build it through love You build it through love. And I feel that. There's a beautiful thing that happens in my family that I really enjoy. And sometimes I wish I could spend more time with it, but we're getting at a point in our life where we get so busy. But there's a thing in the culture of my household where at every holiday you do a puzzle. Does anyone do a puzzle on their holiday? Yes. Does anyone ever really actually finish it? Oh, okay, great. So whenever I go to my holiday with my family, I go there, and the thing that I know will always be there is a puzzle, and my grandma is likely sitting at the table waiting for me or my sister or my wife now, who's like a master puzzle maker, to arrive. And the minute we arrive, my grandma spends it's the same thing every time, Takai, if you haven't recognized. She spends 5 minutes there, and then she gets up and she's like, okay, your job is to finish the puzzle. And then she goes back to her couch. Like, thanks, Grandma. So my purpose in my family is to finish the puzzle. And usually, it was kind of my escape growing up. Maybe my parents don't know this, but I always felt this is how I resonated with my mom. Because we were hanging out with all the relatives, and everybody's together, and everyone's talking too much, and you just want to run away a little bit, right? Does anyone ever want to just walk away a little bit from the family and breathe? Some of you are like, so lightly. But so me and my mom growing up would always we'd walk out of the room and we'd go to the puzzle so that we could just not talk, and just have this moment of peace. And so I've become, this type of person. So I always thought that my family, and I think this is true, my relatives think I'm a very quiet person. That's nuts. Because any of you know that I'm not quiet at all. I'm very loud, I'm very over the top, excessive, and my wife, has to deal with that on a day-to-day basis, and I jump around to different topics by the minute, but it's because I appreciated this space. I've become very warm to this particular tradition in my family, and in some ways I feel closeness. That moment that I spend with my grandma, and if Grandma you're watching, God bless you, I love you. That moment I spend with my grandma, even if it's 10, 15 minutes, sitting down working on a puzzle, is beautiful to me. I look at that and like I'm doing now, I cry. Because it's, this is a moment of just shared love and peace. And we're just building this thing together. But that's home. It's home. And it's a beautiful place that I love. And sometimes I wish there was more holidays so that I would, it's interesting. It's like you're supposed to be with your family all the time. But even though my grandma lives down the street, effectively down the street, Huntington Beach, it's like I go there only 6 times a year for a holiday or a birthday. But every time I go, I feel tremendous love. And I think that's the idea of what we're building together. Brothers and sisters, we get it so mixed and twisted all the time. Well, first of all, I get twisted, that we're somehow building a religious church and that we are congregants of said church. And over time, with our own families that we've built, and rightfully so, we've built our own families, we have a tendency to have grown separate from each other. But True Parents' vision was really simple, is that we are building God's family and we're coming together as one. And so we say this is a community. It's a community. We're coming together to build God's home together. And I would pray that every single one of you would feel that when you come, especially our younger generation, that one day you would feel that you would come and it's the feeling as if you're coming home and every week's a holiday. And when you come home, there's a puzzle and your elders are here and we're all just working on the puzzle together. And it's a beautiful feeling. And you don't need to talk. You don't even need to meet the expectations. It is just simply being together, and you know that God is at the center. Haju? So I hope I can paint this kind of picture for you of what it feels like. And this is how I feel towards true parents. So if you're new here, welcome. We're Family Federation. We believe that Father and Mother Moon were called and sent by God on the foundation of Jesus Christ to restore this world through families. That's what we stand on. That's our foundation of understanding and attendance. And so when I look at true parents, oftentimes I see them as like my grandma and grandpa. So Shinhung and I can relate in some way like this, right? Really, and when True Mother recently used the words Wang Oma to describe herself to us, I resonated with it, but not towards its original meaning, because it means grandmom or like great mother. However, for me, I fused grand and mom together. I said, oh, that's my grandmama. Great, perfect. This is my relationship with true parents. Why? Because my father and mother, and many of your father and mothers, and many of you as fathers and mothers, were the ones who were reborn initially in coming to realize who true parents were, and then you gave birth to many of us. And so I genuinely feel like I am a grandson. I am, as one of the pastors always says, she says, I am the only begotten granddaughter. I was like, you can make that claim? And she has a shirt. I don't know if you know her, but she has Dr. Madeline Alexander. She has a shirt that says, I am God's only begotten granddaughter. And on the backside is a picture of true parents, right? Like it's like, and this is a Christian pastor. She really embraces it. And I feel that way too. Of course, we're not only begotten because we're all, children. But I feel that way. And so when I relate with True Mother, especially, I feel like it's relating with my grandma. And I want to go to her home. I'd love to be able to be far more comfortable. Next time, I know that when I meet True Mother, I'm going to wear a jean jacket and sweatpants, like Shinung did. He showed up at coffee with True Mother. He said, True Mother, like True Mother, with jean jacket and sweatpants and Converse on. I said, wow, can I do that? Would any of you do that? Are any of you bold enough? Yeah, sure. Take it a step further. Wear some shorts. Wear a hat. But that's how I feel. I know I need to dress up in my suit, so I look nice. I take out my best-looking suit. Looks a lot like Reverend Tangen's. And I make sure that I'm seen. And you always, and my grandma's like this too. I never show up at my grandma's not well-dressed. It's true. It is true. I show up well-dressed. I show up ready to present myself because this is my grandma. You present yourself to your grandma with honor and respect as the matriarch of the family. But I feel this way towards true parents. For those that are new to who they are, I hope you can find this one day. They sacrifice their entire life for the sake of others, for the sake of the children of the world, to bring them together as a family, not for them, but for the sake of God, our heavenly parent. True parents are here to somehow reflect God's love in a beautiful, full way and on the foundation of Jesus. But Jesus was only able to reflect the masculinity of God, and so Jesus describes God as our Father. And so True Mother comes and describes God as our heavenly parent. True parents did that. And so that, I pray, can be the love that you find, but it doesn't need to be a distant thing. It can feel like you're going home for a holiday to work on a puzzle together. Does that sound okay? I hope that can become your true parents. But in the Bible, it describes the necessity of building a home for God. And this is where I want to shift a little bit. And I'm going to challenge you all today in a beautiful way. I don't want to challenge you in a way that feels like it's like we're cutting the good and evil within you, sort of top-down, heavy sort of thing. I want to challenge your filial heart. I want to challenge the heart within you that may not have been surfaced in a long time. It may have kind of fallen into a realm of, I do what I do out of loyalty. I do what I do not necessarily because I want to, but because I have to. But I really hope that you can feel a resonance of filial heart, meaning the heart of a child. And I want to start with this verse. In Isaiah 66, 1-2, thus says the Lord, heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. What is the house that you would build for me? And what is the place of my rest? All these things my hand has made, and so all these things came to be, declares the Lord. But this is the one to whom I will look, he who is humble and contrite in spirit and trembles at my word. And as you can see on the screen, I highlighted two of these particular passages within Isaiah 66. What is the house that you would build for me? And what is the place of my rest? This is God. This is God asking his sons and daughters, what is the house that you would build for me? And what is the place of my rest? And then who is God looking for that could build this type of place, this home? He who is humble and contrite in their spirit and trembles at my word. When the Old Testament says tremble, they mean it's like the fear of God, fearing God, but it's more so saying like who will be loyal to the word that I have spoken, but also humble in their spirit of love. So I want to share a traditional Korean song. I spent the entire morning listening to this song on repeat. Admittedly, I don't resonate a lot with how Korean folk songs are. True Mother really loves Korean folk songs, and I'm always like, that's interesting. It's very tangy. I don't know. I haven't always been an appreciator of it, but the words are powerful to me. So this is an old folk song that depicts this same notion, but from the point of view of the child to the parent. So the Bible describes God asking for a place to be built for me. And this folk song is describing the child building that place. And it says, and it's very symbolic, so try to read it and read it again, and you can stop listening to me and just try to digest this song. Because true parents, father and mother, they have used this song for a long time to explain a very simple and profound idea. It's not just in Mother's memoir. In Mother's memoir, if you ever read it, this is on the second chapter. But if you actually look at also True Father's words from 1980, 1990, he references this song all the time. Instead of calling it a cinnamon tree, he calls it a laurel tree, which is a cinnamon tree is a laurel tree. So those are just the slight differences. And but he sings this song often. And this is the song. It says, moon, moon, bright moon, the moon with which Lee Tae-pik used to play. Far away on that moon, there is a cinnamon tree. I cut it down with a jade axe and trimmed it with a gold axe to build a small cottage where I attend my mother and father. I want to live with them forever. I want to live with them forever. Beautiful. I think about this poem a lot, and many of you know because I use it, I often reference it. But I feel Mr. Lee, I don't know how to say Tae-pik Lee is a poet, and you can also say loves, to which Lee Tae-pik loves. And so it's describing this faraway moon There's a tree on this moon. I cut it down with a jade axe. I trim it with a gold axe. And I build a small cottage. I build a small cottage where I would attend my mother and father forever. And I love this idea. The idea is, for me, when I read this, and interpret it how you will, but for me, when I read this, it describes this incredible effort and particularity, very, very sensitive to exactly how I want to build the home of my parents. Why? Because I want to make it the best. I want to make the best place. So I'm not just going to cut it down with any old axe. I'm going to cut it down with a jade axe, a cinnamon tree on a moon. Like, it's going to be that special. It's that special. And I'm going to cut that down, and I'm going to trim it with a gold axe. And then I'm going to build this home so I would live together with my parents. Do any of you ever feel you want to do that? Yeah. Uncle Mike, you know, you live with your father. And you want to build this beautiful place. But we're restricted. We're so restricted. I dream of this. I dream of, we have this ideal, the 3-generational household. Do any of you have a 3-generational household? Oh, okay. Some of y'all. There's a certain beauty to it. In a 3-generational household, you have the grandparents, and what Father and Mother would say is that the grandparents represent God. The grandparents are God. And the parents represent, they're the parents. And then the children are the children. But you're being cared for on all levels. And the totality of the realms of love are experienced in this 3-generational household. I dream of this one day myself, but I'd love to build that home. This is the heart of a filial child. Our reality is, not all of us want to do this for our parents, but I hope you could find this desire. I want to build a home for God. I want to build a home for God. Mother Moon says, the wish to live forever with one's mother and father conveys the heart of filial piety. We are orphans, far from the heavenly parent whom we have lost. And we have to find our true parents in our original homeland. Nothing leads to greater happiness than being able to attend the beloved parents for whom we long, be it in a palace or in a small hut. Yeah. And True Father talked about this a lot. He used this poem often, and he would describe it's this love. It's the love for our parents that binds us together. Why do we love each other as brothers and sisters? Why do I even try? Why do I make the effort? Why is it essential for me to love you? Why is that? What is the fundamental principle by which you and I bond? Justin, if I love you, and I know you love me, and we're brothers, but why are we brothers? The rest of the world would tell you that you're your individual self. You got to make it on your own. You make some friends, you roll with your friends a little bit, but at the end of the day, we promote the idea of individualism. We're antithetical to that here. You have your individual responsibility, but your purpose is to build family. We're counterculture, right? Very counterculture. Actually, we're kind of more old age culture. There's a bond that we're longing for. What is the fundamental concept that bonds you and I? What is it? It's that we have the same parents. Now you say, well, I see your dad and mom right there, and I see my mom and dad right there, and they're not the same people. But that's why it's so important to understand God as our heavenly parent. It's so important. It's because that's what would actually save this world. You see the war and the conflict that we see all across the world, North and South Korea, Israel, Palestine, Iran, all these different areas, all the conflict that isn't on the news, that continues to happen. All of that would stop in a moment if we actually felt true love between one another, bonded by having the same parents. I don't hurt my brother and sister. And this is what True Father would talk about. He says, this song is a reflection of the ideal of us building God's home and living together with our original parents. And we should attend them. But then he says this. He says, I don't feel happy with this song. Why? He says, because it's only a thatched roof cottage. All it is a small cottage. How can we fulfill the wishes of the people there? So he challenges this notion that this is enough. Actually, he feels sort of a feeling of inadequacy with this. I want to build something more beautiful than just a small cottage. Some of you guys are fine with that. But as children, I want to give you the best. As a child that longs to love my parents, I want to give you the best. And I may not be able to because I'm financially limited. And in this day and age, buying a home, good Lord. Right? But we want to give the best. And so True Father feels this way. It's not enough to just build a thatched cottage. What is the best that we could build for God? What is the best? Think about the best that you would want to build. I feel this is what our true mother's feeling. She's excited about building God's home. She's excited about building God's home in her lifetime. Why? Because she feels that God is her parent. And she's felt that way. True Mother grew up without a father. For those of you who don't know her story, she grew up without a dad. Her dad wasn't in her life. They had made an agreement, a decision that they would walk their own way. And even at some point, she was saying that she didn't realize that her father was actually living just in the neighborhood near her for most of her life. She had no idea. How painful is that? Imagine you've lost your father, not to death, but simply lost. And you didn't know, but you find out later in your life, after he's passed, that he was there the whole time. But that's True Mother's reality. She grew up in a household that wasn't with the father's love. And so what did her mother do? Her mother taught her something. Her mother taught her this idea that her true father, her real father, was God. That God is your dad. Imagine if you grew up that way. I don't know if any of you raised your children this way. You don't need to, don't worry. But she was taught this way. And so she says this. She says, from the time I could understand words, my maternal grandmother, Jo-Won Mo, consistently taught me one thing. She lived in a 3-generational household. She said, God is your father. She went so far as to say, your mother is like your nanny who is raising you as God's daughter. Since I had been surrounded by an atmosphere of faith, even while in my mother's womb, I accepted this without a second thought. When I heard the word God, my heart would open unreservedly and be filled with warmth. This is incredible. Because of her life situation, her grandmother and her mother taught her in a beautiful way, as God is your father. And your mom, she's just a nanny. You have greater parents than us. Wow. Some of us, I don't know if we'd have the boldness to say that to our children. But think about it. She says when she hears the word God, her heart leaps from her. It's like she's filled with incredible warmth. It's like when I hear the name Kyoko, or these days I hear the name Naoko or Eiji. I actually feel warm, right? Hito, you feel some kind of, oh, that's my mom's name. Oh, that's my dad's name. Oh, I feel good about that. Many of you, if I were to say the name of your parents, you would feel good inside. It's like, oh yeah, that's my parents' name. And then you always want to make a comment. You're like, hey, by the way, my mom's name is the same as that. And you feel really good. It's like your heart leaps at the idea. I've never met anyone named McKay in my life. Sorry, Dad, I've never met anyone. Right? I've also never met any Pasquales. that'll be the day I'll get so excited because I got a bunch of dads in here, actually. I got a bunch of dads. Right? I hear, woo, Pasquale. I know a Pasquale. He's the best, Oh, do you also play acoustic guitar? I'd wonder. So this is how mother feels. Just like, oh, wow, God, that's my dad. And it's a heart leaping out experience. And so what I want to convey is that True Mother's idea in her life is that before she would pass away, she would create a home for God. A place, a physical place. It's one thing, the Bible describes how in this New Jerusalem there wouldn't be a temple anymore because it's already in the Lord and the Lamb. That's what it says. It's already in the Lord and the Lamb, so you don't need a temple anymore. So it's not, what I want to break our concept about what I'm about to show in a moment is that it's not a temple per se. It's a home. And in our life, as filial sons and daughters, if it's within our capacity to do so, while we are alive, we should build our parents a home. Build it. Create it. Establish the environment. That's life. That's a beautiful life. And you go until the very end to create that environment. And so this is what Mother wants to do. But in the Bible, it describes that you have to come from a humble and contrite spirit. In many ways, to build the home of God, you have to start at the bottom. And it should have been quick. It would have always started at the bottom, but it could have been much faster. But because of the variety of things that have happened in history, it took a long time. A long time. But this is where it started. Everyone knows what this is? This is the original home of God. This is a mud hut made out of cardboard boxes from the military. I guess it's to be filled with alcohol boxes that they translated into a home. And this was the first church. We call this Bomnetgo, and it was where Father Moon wrote the original principle under a kerosene lamp. This is our history. This is the location. This is them in front of it on the other side. And it was just a few people. I heard someone describe to me once that it was a small place, the smallest possible church or location or home you could possibly ever have. But it had the spirit of a megachurch. It was resounding in there. And nearby there was a rock, and on that rock, True Father cried tears. Until this day, if you go there, if you have a chance to go there, it's labeled as the Rock of Tears. And you have a chance to pray there. It's a holy ground. But this is where it started. And they built from this point, and together with True Parents, this is their first, quote-unquote, church that they built. And even if you go there, it's not that big. It's just in the middle of some neighborhood, and it's very humble, but it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous place. And you can still see the original wood when you go there, where they cried so many tears and they laughed. I imagine they laughed also so loud, enjoying time with each other. But they suffered. They suffered tremendously. They didn't have much food. They lived off of, True Mother was describing at one point that it was a blessing that she had even tangerines to eat one day. It was like, wow, this is an incredible blessing. And they lived off such humble circumstances, and then also raising kids in those circumstances. I don't know which kid this is, but True Mother had 14 of them. This was their foundation. This is where they started. And from there, they had the same dream the whole time, that one day we would build God a home. And it'd be a place where God is no longer alone. It'd be a place, where God feels at home, and then it would last forever. It'd be in a location where it would be there forever, for generations and generations, to be able to go there and experience this incredible testimony of love. God is in each and every one of us. God is not exclusively in one home. But to be able to attend God in a place where someone gave their entire life to build the most beautiful, majestic place for the sake of God. This is what true parents did. And that is what you're looking at right there. That is what we call the Chonwon-gung. The Chonwon-gung. Brothers and sisters, True Mother did it. She finished this home. She did it from this to building a beautiful home. Let's give her a round of applause. True Father says, a thatched cottage. Do you know what a thatched cottage is? You have to start at the bottom. Without serving your parents in a thatched cottage, you cannot find the royal parents. You have to begin serving them in a cottage. Then you organize a tribe and then a people from the tribe. And only when we've organized a people can the right of kingship be established. We have to find a nation. That's what he concludes with. At some point, this home needs to be built for a nation and for the world. And this is what True Mother has been doing. And it's an incredible place that all of you are invited to go see sometime in April to June. I don't know. Some of you have already bought your tickets, so you're already on your way there. I just know not everyone will be able to go in April, but don't worry too much, everybody. We'll get news when we get news. But we're preparing for this. This is the biggest moment for True Mother since 1960. This is the moment where she fulfills, Isai, a mission. You can imagine you've had on your heart a calling. You've had a responsibility since you were a young boy, and now you are being called finally to fulfill that one thing, and you wouldn't dare pass away until you've been able to do that. That's what True Mother's feeling. This one thing that I can do for God is leave the most beautiful possible home for the sake of generations to come. I want to build it with a jade axe, trim it with a gold axe. This is her heart right here. And it's beautiful. And the idea, it's interesting. There's no rooms in there. It's not to be a place where someone lives. But instead, what's inside is what she deems is the place where we would unite North and South Korea. かっこいいね, some of you. かっこいい. This is already built. I don't have the full picture of everything, but this is already built. This is in model of the UN, United Nations. And the idea is that this location, the Chonwon-gung, would be a place where talks and conversations and discussions about high-level matters and MOUs and laws will be signed for the purpose of uniting North and South Korea together, but also the sake of the world. This is where she wants that to happen. And I heard recently that True Mother was in there role-playing how she was going to do that. She was like, Africa, now you speak. Now, Europe, you speak. And she was doing this sort of very cute role play of how she wants to navigate this. And her dream is that as she passes away, this will continue. But it's not just that. Originally, also, there was meant to be a museum. So we know that a museum is also being built there that describes the entirety of Father and Mother's life and experience. This is like a mock-up of it. You can see the New Yorker Hotel, which I guess all my friends yesterday were shocked that we own in our church. They were like, what? But, this is the creation of the Chonwon-gung. It's meant to be a home for God. A home for God. But also, when you come, you will have deep experiences, and it has utility. It has purpose. And at the center of this entire place is Chono Sanctum. This is a place that I've had the pleasure of being in myself, and it's gorgeous. It's like this. You don't even have words to describe this. I mean, brothers and sisters, this is unbelievable. It's like heaven, and honestly, I'm amazed. And the whole idea is that this will be a place where someone can come and they would pray and they would just naturally feel God's presence. Now imagine 8 billion people. If they were to go there seeking, everyone has so much pain in their heart, and we're translating that pain into our families, and then our families are breaking down and they're hurting and our communities are suffering, and our nations, the result of that, the reality of our nation and the world. Now, if people would define healing by going there and actually feeling love for the first unconditional time, what an amazing gift to the world. And so she created this environment, and lining the walls is something, extraordinary. 14 pieces of art that describe this incredible story. So, True Mother, she's visiting this regularly to piece by piece create the home of God. Here's another view. This is Mother Moon entering it 2 years ago, which my wife and I cut the ribbon at the entrance of, which was, and we stole the ribbon afterwards. Kept it with us. So here's what I want to get to. This is us. This is each of us. We are not meant to watch someone build God's home. We're not meant to be bystanders in the providence of God. If any of this made any sense to you at all, then I hope what you can feel is also your own heart. You can be moved by Mother Moon's example, True Mother's example, but also you are a part of that. Are you not God's son and daughter? You are. You can be proud of that. We should be so proud we're part of a family. We're bonded by the same parents. And so what can you build for God? Now, in one sense, you have to do this in your own life. You have to build God's home through your own family. One day, as many of you who are younger, you need to mature yourself to a point where you can build God's family. You can rewrite whatever your history may have been, whatever may have, whatever suffering, and you can create God's beautiful family here in this world. And I hope you can do that. In our own way, here we have a responsibility. As a community, my dream has always kind of been the same, which is that as long as I'm here in Los Angeles, I pray that one day we can restore this city. I really want this to be a city of angels in its fullest sense. I want this city to be known for being God's beacon of hope. I want this nation to be like that. And so we have to build God's home. But I want to invite you to be a part of this. True Mother is inviting you to be a part of this. The building of God's home. The Chomongung. And when you go, I want you to feel that you're not just going there to receive the love of God. I want you to go there feeling that you gave so that this place would exist for God. I pray you can feel that way. True Father often says, I didn't ever ask God for blessings. I don't ask God for blessings. Some of you might, and occasionally, I desperately ask God for help. But True Father says, I don't ask God for blessings. He says, God has blessed me enough. God has given already everything. I ask God how I can comfort his heart. That's a true man, a true woman. The person that goes to God instead of saying, God, give me all the wealth, give me all the knowledge, give me all this. Give it to me. When I go to some of our churches, I wonder how that feels to God. It's like, give it to me. I want to receive it. And some of us need to learn how to receive love. But it's effectively what we do as children who just receive, is we never grow up to become sons and daughters who take care of our parents. So I want to invite you all to this. I'm excited. I'm so excited for True Mother. First of all, I'm excited for True Mother. I love her. She's my grandmom. I got 2 grandmoms. One I do puzzles with and one I do bigger puzzles with. Really, really big puzzles. And I love them both, and I love my grandma so much. I want to make sure she sees the day that she earned. As a son, it's like she's doing it for God. Sometimes, honestly, I just want to do it for her because I love her. And she's shown me unconditional love, and many of you, whether you realize it or not, have received the same. All of you have received the same. So what can we do? What is our jade axe? What is our gold axe? I ask you, brothers and sisters, that today you could make some kind of pledge, some kind of offering. I want you to go making a feeling that you've given. Now, there's two types of offerings that we make. One is we make an offering of bringing our foundation. We are the first John the Baptists. We are the first John the Baptist to true parents. It's not the Christians out there or anybody, the Buddhists or the Confucius. It's us, right? Are we not? Are we not the first John the Baptists? Meaning that we're the first to testify and we're the first to bring our foundation to the table. What is John the Baptist's responsibility? To bring his foundation. To testify and then bring his foundation. So what are we responsible for? First and foremost, we testify and we bring what we can bring. Meaning people, others, our families, our foundations that we have that are filled with love. And the offering we make that comes with that is to make a donation, to support, to actually offer what I hold most treasured for life. And I pray each of you can do so. So I'm asking you all as a family, let's support. I have a goal. And many of you have given much already. So actually, my goal is very different. My goal is not a numerical amount. To me, you should give what you feel would inspire you in God. Would you? Give what you feel would inspire you in God. And then trust me, it will come back tenfold, as it has every single time for me. But to me, it doesn't matter how much you give. Those things are ways of the past. What matters is that you give from your heart. What did Jesus say? When the folks were going to the temple to make their offering, one rich man gives a lot, and then one peasant lady comes and she offers her 2 pence. It's all she has. And Jesus acknowledges her because it was her heart that gave. Someone with nothing gave. How much would she have needed to truly love and appreciate God to give? I encourage you to do the same. And I actually, in my experience, not all of you are like spiritual like this. So this is me. Takayo knows. When I pray about giving, I ask God how much. It's the worst thing to ask. Oh, golly. Bank account wise, it's the worst. But I will pray to God and I ask God, what do you want me to give? And God always gives me an answer. And so you wonder, how do you find that answer? A number will come to you and you will feel your heart budding. But it'll be scary. It'll fill you with some fear, but it will be what your heart longs. Search for that. Is that okay? Search for that. Search for your heart's, your spirit's calling. That's God speaking to you, if that's how you function. So I ask you all to please consider this. Pray over it if you need to pray. But if your heart can well up, as mine is, excited, I'm excited about it. But if your heart can well up with a longing to make this possible, let's make our offering. Again, I've mentioned 2 ways. 2 ways, but they're all encompassed in one, I could say, honestly, which is let's bring our foundation. Let's bring our foundation. So I thank you all. I'm really praying for True Mother right now. And as I close here, I'm praying for True Mother because I can only imagine how challenging this journey is to arrive at the end. And if anyone, I swear, if anyone is trying to derail True Mother more than anything, if Satan is trying to derail anyone from from accomplishing something the most, it's going to be her. And so I think we stand in a position where we are able to almost like stand in front of True Mother and break the wind, like actually stop it from hurting her so much, and she can feel your heart. And I know that. And then it'll be in substance because we're going to go together. I don't know how the format's going to go. Some of y'all bought your tickets, but we're going to go to the Cheonmonggung together, and we're going to experience this in full. And I'm committed. If it's over the course of 3 months, I'm committed on going on 3 different trips with you all, to go with the handful of folks that go in April, the handful of folks that go in March, the handful of folks that go in May, whatever. April, May, June. Good Lord. And go together and experience it. I want you all to go. This, for some of you, will be your last trip to Korea. And you deserve it. Each of you deserve it. Each of you deserve to experience how incredible it is. I want to have coffee with you on the corner cafe overlooking the Cheonpyeong Lake with some of the best, right, Mr. Kadoy? Some of the best coffee in the business. Mr. Kadoy went there himself and vetted the coffee. That's when you know, that's how good it, you go there, and I want to just soak in love. I want to take off my shoes with you and walk the Hyeojung path. Is that what they call it? I don't know. But there's a hiking trail where you're not supposed to wear shoes. And apparently Reverend Dunkley was wearing shoes on that trail, and he got really judged by the Ajishis and Ajimas. Got really judged. They all looked at him like, what the heck are you doing, wearing shoes? It's like, I'm American. We don't know anything. We wear shoes on the carpet. Crazy. Crazy to me. Brothers and sisters, I want to enjoy God's home together with you. Can we do this together? Yes. But let's not go with an empty hand. Let's go with our hearts consecrated. Special grace is coming up in March for everyone that needs to know. Special grace is coming for those that know what that means. It's coming. So we're going to consecrate ourselves, purify our hearts, make the effort we make, establish the foundation the best one we can. We got Peace Cup coming up. Derek Fisher's coming to Peace Cup. For those of you who are Lakers fans, I can tell who's a Laker fan simply by just saying that. I know exactly who I'm with. That's great. He won the championships with Kobe Bryant, for those that don't know. And it's going to be awesome. We raise our foundation higher. We're doing service projects. Next week, we're handing out coats, and with Paula and Felicia and the team, we're handing out coats and items and food for people next week in the local area so we can reach more people. We're doing whatever it takes to build the foundation so that we do not come empty-handed. Aju? So outside, there is a booth. Shoko-san and my wife will be there, and you can find one of these pledge cards there. Sorry, I didn't do this. I meant to say it. You can find one of these pledge cards, and you can fill this out based off of your heart's inspiration. If you can't fill it out this week, then take it home with you. But I encourage you to trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. So your heart already says what it wants. And for many of you, I think that must be true. So right outside after service, thank you, everybody. God bless you. I love you so much. God loves you. Thank you.